Hey, fourth grade. Welcome to Tuesday, March 24th. So, I hope you had a good day just like I have. I actually stopped at school today to pick up some things, organize things. And now I'm here with you. Not a bad day outside. So if you haven't gotten any fresh air, ran around in your yard, or played in the yard, I would take that opportunity. So I wanted to real quick go over what assignments are due today and what's on your plate. So for today, you are finishing a section of your book club book. Your assigned pages and or chapters are in that slideshow page telling you what you should be reading. And today you need to be answering a discussion question, which I posted in your Google Classroom. Secondly, you are supposed to be handwriting your paragraphs about the American Revolution. Make sure your paragraphs are about one person and one event. So in the end, you'll have 4 paragraphs. So you're drafting a handwritten paper from your outline, your boxes and bullets that you started yesterday. 4 paragraphs, your introduction. Paragraph 2 is probably about your person. Paragraph 3 is about your significant event from the American Revolution, and you'll have a conclusion paragraph. In math today, you are doing practice for 14.1, and that is the pattern that you'll be taking going forward. Is you'll have a reteaching day and then a practice day. So instead of our lessons taking one day and moving forward at that pace, obviously digital learning is a little bit different. We'll be slowing it down some, and so our lessons will take us about 2 days. We'll have a reteaching day first and then a practice day. In science, by the end of today, you should have watched your first science video all about the senses, and there is a short quiz in Google Classroom that you should be completing by the end of today in reference to that video. You also should be thinking about your science project, your Create an Animal. It's one of my favorites. If you look at my direction sheets, near the end there's an example of a project, and it looks pretty neat. So I'm excited about those. Make sure you're double checking PowerSchool for all other announcements and things that our specials teachers are asking us complete while we are distance learning. Yesterday we started reading Maniac McGee, and we were talking a little bit about how the neighborhood feels a little different. It's a little bit divided. There is some Caucasian or white people that live in a certain neighborhood, and then there is African American people that live in another section. And where we stopped is Maniac McGee ran off, and he's with Amanda Beale now. And she's like, well, where are you from? And Maniac is like, well, I don't know, but I could live here. And she just thinks that's a little odd that Maniac wants to live here in the African American part of the neighborhood. And so what they're describing is a thing called segregation. You might have heard that word before. Occasionally we hear that word come up even nowadays. Keeping things separate. And for many years in our American history, segregation was the thing that happened. Keeping people separate, different bubblers, different schools, different places they could go. And that is one of the social experiences that Maniac and Amanda Beale, are experiencing in this book in this time period. So that is where we're going to be picking up today. So we stopped with Amanda Beale. She's holding a briefcase. Where do you live? And she's going to be late for school. But Maniac has questions about what's in her suitcase. So let's pick up there. She sped up. Jeffrey dropped back for a second, then caught up to her. Why are you taking all these books to school? Amanda told him. She told him about her little brother and sister at home, who loved to crayon every piece of paper they could find, whether or not it already had type all over it. And about the dog, Bow Wow, who chewed everything he could get his teeth on. And that, she said, was why she carried her whole library to and from school every day. First bell was ringing. The school was still a block away. Amanda ran, Jeffrey ran. Can I have a book? He said. They're mine, she said. Just to read, to borrow. No. Please. What's your name? Amanda. Please, Amanda. Anyone. Your shortest one. I'm late now, and I'm not going to stop and open up this thing again. Forget it. He stopped. Amanda! She kept running, then stopping, turned, glared. What kind of kid was this anyways? All grungy, ripped shirt. Why didn't he go back to Bridgeport or the West End where he belonged? Bother some nice girl up there. And why was she still standing here? So what if I loaned you one? Huh? How am I going to get it back? I'll bring it back. Honest. If it's the last thing I do. What's your address? 728 Sycamore. But you can't come there. You can't even be here. Second bell rang. Amanda screamed, whirled, ran. Amanda! She stopped, turned. Oh, she squeaked. She tore a book from the suitcase, hurled it at him, here, and dashed into school. The book came flopping like a wounded duck and fell at Jeffrey's feet. It was a story of the Children's Crusade. Jeffrey picked it up, and Amanda Beale was late to school for the only time in her life. Chapter 4. Jeffrey made 3 other appearances that first day. The first came at one of the high school fields, during 11th grade gym class. Most of the students were playing soccer, but about a dozen were playing football because they were on varsity, and the gym teacher happened to be the football coach. The star quarterback, Brian Dennehy, would wind up and throw a 60-yarder to his favorite receiver, James, hands down, who was streaking a fly pattern down the sidelines. But the ball never quite reached hands. Just as he was about to cradle it in his big, brown, loving mitts, he vanished. By the time he recovered from the shock, a little kid was weaving upfield through the varsity football players. Nobody laid a paw on him. When the kid got down to the soccer field, he turned and punted the ball. It sailed back over the up-looking gym classers, swirling more perfectly than anything Brian Dennehy had ever thrown, and landed in the outstretched hands of still stunned, hands down. Then the kid ran off. There was one other thing. Something that all of them saw but no one believed until they compared notes about school that day. Up until the punt, the kid had done everything with one hand. He had to, because in his other hand was a book. Did you catch who it was? It's Maniac. Chapter 5. Later on that first day, there was a commotion in the West End, at 803 Oriole Street, to be exact. At the backyard of 803 Oriole, to be exacter. This, of course, was the infamous address of Finsterwald. Kids stayed away from Finsterwalds the way old people stay away from Saturday afternoon matinees at a $2 movie. And what would happen to a kid who didn't stay away? There was a question left, unanswered. Suffice it to say that occasionally, even today, if some poor, raggedy, stained kid is seen shuffling through town, word will spread that this was a bright, happy, normal child who had the misfortune of blundering onto Finsterwald's property. That's why, if you valued your life, you never chased a ball into Finsterwald's backyard. Finsterwald's backyard was a graveyard of tennis balls and baseballs and footballs and frisbees and model airplanes and one-way boomerangs. And that's why his front steps were the only unsat-on front steps in town, and why no paper kid would ever deliver there, and why no kid on a snow day would ever shovel that sidewalk, not for $1,000,000,000. So it was late afternoon, and screams were coming from Finsterwald's. Who? What? Why? The screamer was a boy whose name is lost to us. For after this day, he disappears from the pages of history. He believes he was about 10 years old. Let's call him Arnold Jones. Arnold Jones was being hoisted in the air above Finsterwald's backyard fence. The hoisters were 3 or 4 high school kids. This is one of the things they did for fun. Arnold Jones had apparently forgotten one of the cardinal rules of survival in the West End. Never let yourself be near Finsterwald's and high school kids at the same time. Some not good things are going to happen. So, there's Arnold Jones, held up by all these hands, flopping and kicking and shrieking like some poor sacrifice about to be tossed off a pyramid. No, no, please, he pleaded. Please. So, of course, they did it. The high schoolers dumped him into the yard, and now they back off, no longer laughing, just watching the back door of the house, the windows, the dark green shades. As for Arnold Jones, he clams up the instant he hits the ground. He's on his knees now, all hunched and puckered. His eyes goggle at the back door. At the doorknob, he's paralyzed, a mouse in front of a yawning maw of a python. Now, after a minute or two of breathless silence, one of the high schoolers thinks he hears something. He whispers, "Listen." Another one hears it, a faint, tiny rattle, a rattling, a chittering, a chattering, and getting louder, yes, chattering teeth. Arnold Jones's teeth. They're chattering like snare drums. And now, as if his mouth isn't big enough to hold the chatter, the rest of his body joins in. First, it's a buzz like trembling, then the shakes, and finally it's if every bone inside of him is clamoring to get out. A high schooler's squawks. He's got the Finsterwalds! Yeah, they yell, and they stand there, cheering and clapping. By the way, Finsterwallies is a noun meaning violent trembling of the body, especially in your extremities, your arms and legs. We have to stop there, my friends. I hope you had a great Tuesday. Make sure you get outside, like I said, and we'll see you soon tomorrow. Bye, friends.